Hi guys, welcome to today's video. So in today's video, we'll be looking in detail on how to solve the grammar part in the Central University's entrance test. So first of all, I like to give an overview of the section 1, which is the language part in the examination. So if we choose the English language, we can see that totally we'll have 50 questions. From that, at least 40 we'll have to attempt. And if we go through the syllabus for the English, we can see that the types of questions, one of the major types of questions which is asked is the reading comprehension part. And in reading comprehension, you will have three types of passages. They are factual ones, narrative ones, and literary ones. And apart from reading comprehension, we'll have questions from verbal ability and questions such as rearranging the parts in a sentence, also choosing the correct word, also it's questions related to synonyms and antonyms, and also vocabulary in general. So this is the basic overview of the particular paper. And when we move away from the reading comprehension part, I think we can divide the particular paper into two as grammar and vocabulary. So what all things vocabulary contains. So in order to crack the vocabulary part, if we have a knowledge about synonyms, antonyms, and analogies, and also if we have a specific understanding of the usage of some words and the usage in different contexts, it is really helpful. And also you can expect questions from idioms and phrases, and also questions related to prefix and suffix. So if we have a general understanding of these areas, it will really helpful in your vocabulary part. So how about the grammar part? Let's take a look at that. So what all things should I study in the grammar part? So according to me, if you look at this paper, if we have a clear understanding of parts of speech, figures of speech, tenses, subject verb agreement, and finally active voice and passive voice, this is more than enough to clear the grammar part in the language section. So how should we approach these different concepts? Let's take a look at that. So one of the major or important areas in grammar is the parts of speech. So how should we approach the parts of speech? If we have a clear understanding the role of each parts of speech, such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, etc., it will be really helpful. It's more than enough actually. And also, if we have the understanding what is the function of these parts of speech in a sentence, this is more than enough. And also, what kind of questions can we expect from parts of speech? We can expect questions such as fill in the blanks, completing the sentence, and also sometimes error spotting. So these are the questions that we can expect from parts of speech. Now, moving on to another section, which is very important, is the active voice and passive voice. So how should we approach the active voice and passive voice? So first of all, we need to understand the distinction between what is active voice and what is passive voice. And also in what situations where we use active voice and also where we use passive voice. If we have a clear understanding of this, we'll be able to clear the active voice section. So sometimes we can expect questions like convert a particular sentence from active voice to passive voice, or convert a particular passive voice to active voice. So, and also you'll be need to understanding how these differ from each other. So sometimes we will be given a sentence and we may be asked to identify if that particular sentence is in active voice or in passive voice. So if we have a clear understanding how active voice differs from passive voice, you'll be able to clearly clear this particular part. And apart from this, another major section in grammar is tenses. So in the case of tenses, only if we go through the different types of tenses in present, past, and future, and the formulas, how are these tenses formed, and what about the usage, then only we'll be able to clear questions related to tenses. So in the case of tenses also, we need to understand how these tenses work and how are they different from each other. So you can also expect questions like completing the sentence using the correct tenses, or also identifying the error in a given sentence. So if we have a clear understanding about the different types of tenses, then only we'll be able to tackle the questions related to tenses. And another major area where we have to focus is the area of subject verb agreement. So generally, we will have to understand the general rule about the subject verb agreement and also different types of situations where we use subject verb agreement, right? So we need to identify how a sentence is formed and in what all situations we use the verb according to the subject in a given sentence. So the one of the major types of question that we can expect from subject verb agreement is fill in the blank. So if you have a clear understanding how this is formed in a given sentence, how a sentence is formed according to the rules of subject verb agreement, then only we'll be able to clear the part of subject verb agreement. And finally, another section where we can expect questions is from the figures of speech part. So in order to tackle this particular session, we need to understand different types of figures of speech, such as metaphor, simile, personification, hyperbole, etc. So we have, apart from this, we have another set of figures of speech. So if we have a clear understanding of this and the meaning and the impact these types of figures of speech create in the language, this is more than enough. And also the types of questions is like how identifying the figures of speech in a given sentence, or also will be also asked about fill in the blanks using the given figures of speech. So if we have a clear understanding of tenses, parts of speech, subject verb agreement, figures of speech, then active voice and passive voice, this is more than enough to clear the grammar part of the English test in the Central University's entrance test. So apart from this, some general tips is we have to practice regularly. Only if we practice and keep up with these different types of questions, then only we'll be able to clear the examination. And also we need to, from practicing, we need to review our mistakes and understand what are our strong areas and also our weak areas. And if we have a reading habit, this also helps in training. So with that, we have come to the end of today's video. I hope you guys had a clear understanding what all areas where we should focus about the grammar part. So stay tuned for the upcoming videos where we talk about these types of areas in general and in detail. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you.